15-year-old Brandon Chacon, who goes to El Dorado High School, suffered severe burns to his hands. As Matthew Smith reports, it was the result of punishment from a football coach.
Football can lead to sprained ankles, bruises, even broken bones. Those things don't bother Melissa Sanchez.
It goes with sports and everything. He's a tough kid, and he can take all that. But I just think they went too far. Too far.
These are the hands of El Dorado High School's Brandon Chacon, a wide receiver who doctors say shouldn't even think about catching passes right now. Chacon got injured during an exercise known as a bear crawl. That involves the player actually getting down on all fours and crawling across the turf. That's important because in this day it was in the mid-90s, and according to studies, turf can be 35 to 55 degrees hotter than normal grass. According to Chacon, he ran the bear crawls alone, punishment for his actions inside of the classroom.
The coach pulled me into his office and he was like, "Why are you falling asleep in class?"
He showed me his hands but declined a sit-down interview. When asked about the situation, Interim Superintendent Pat O'Neill said it isn't unusual for teachers to turn to coaches to step in for punishment. But I wanted to know what he thought of this picture. Initial reaction, what did you think when you saw him?
Of course, right now I'm going to reserve any comment until we've had a chance to really look into all the facts. I think it would be premature on my part to make any type of judgment call until we've had a chance to look at all the facts.
Now, a new issue. Brandon's mother tells me students are threatening Chacon because this story is out, something district officials are looking into. Matthew Smith, ABC 7. Some details are harder to confirm than others, but this much we know. On January 11th, Chief Robert Estrenga, a longtime member of the Montana Vista Fire Department, paid for a 2005 Chevy Silverado that once belonged to the fire station, a vehicle that, according to Kelley Blue Book value, was worth more than $10,000. The price, set by another member of the Emergency Service District, came down to $2,500, a price that Estrenga paid. Receipts show, though, that work continued to be done on the vehicle despite that sale receipt. Over the course of 3 months, the truck went in for work not once, not twice, but at least 7 times, all documented by receipts given to me by an informant. The total cost, $7,445 and some change, all paid for by department credit cards belonging to Chief Estrenga and his administrative assistant, Wendy Younger.
All I did was my job, okay, which was I take care of everything. I take care of the station, I take care of the trucks, I take care of the training.
Younger is not being investigated, but tells me she was questioned by the Sheriff's Department pertaining to Estrenga. She confirms that and says anything more she says would be unethical, perhaps even illegal to tell me. Save this.
They're doing an investigation. Let's see what they come up with. Okay, I was asked some questions. I answered the questions truthfully. They have their information.
Looking for more information, I went to Chief Estrenga's house myself. No one was there when I knocked, so when I saw a fire department vehicle out front, I called him. Eventually, Estrenga did get a hold of me, telling me the investigation is much ado about nothing. According to Estrenga, he bought the vehicle, but the title was lost, so the truck stayed at the fire station, available for calls, but also racking up repair work like any other service vehicle. He said, quote, "We deal with millions of dollars a year. Am I going to try to get a couple grand off a truck? There is no way. That's ridiculous," end quote. While Estrenga says there was no attempt to defraud, members of his department are upset. And a member of the district attorney's office tells me the case is being reviewed to see if it will go before a grand jury. Matthew Smith, ABC 7.
Remarkable. Matthew Smith has this.
Benjamin Ramirez.
Ben Ramirez takes to the water like peanut butter to jelly, stroke after stroke. He pulls away from his competition with ease. At just 10 years old, he knows what it takes to win.
It gets exhausting and it gets like cold, and so you have to keep on trying till you get to first.
Try he does. On Sunday, he raced against the best El Paso has to offer at the city championships. Racing the individual medley, one of the hardest four-leg heats, he swam away from the pack in a hurry. As the clock raced down, he was the clear winner. Made all the more amazing by the fact he did it with one arm. Born that way in China, he was sent to a foster home. But given a second chance in a good home here in El Paso, he's excelled.
Your winner from the Hurricanes, Ben Ramirez.
He won not one, but 2 gold medals. Oh, and 2 more bronze medals from team races. I asked him if racing with one arm put him at a disadvantage, but Ben, he isn't one to make excuses.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I know there's a disadvantage, but with the way he trains, he doesn't say anything.
His coach says he outworks his competition. His older brother lovingly calls it stubborn, but ask Ben after he leaves a race.
That was so fast, they didn't touch you.
And he'll tell you it's plain and simple. He loves the water. And for those amazed at his accomplishments,
I take that as a compliment. Just keep on trying and one day you'll accomplish it.
a refreshing outlook from a young boy making a splash. Matthew Smith, ABC 7.
Now, Matt, you remember when the president said he's going to start a reverse boot camp, if you will, and that's pretty much to help these soldiers kind of get into a back to normal life type of boot camp. And again, that goes back to helping them find jobs and get that education and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the things that we've been covering for years. We all know that when troops come back to the United States, that is one of the most difficult things to do, is to find their way back into that civilian life. After spending time overseas, it's a very different regimen than going home to your own family, waking up in your own bed, not having those instructions. In fact, at times we even have heard those stories about veterans who come back from overseas and end up homeless. So honestly, it's a very serious situation, especially when you're talking about Fort Bliss, one of the largest military installations in the country. We talked earlier just the sheer size of Fort Bliss, 30,000 people, and with 5,000 people listening on the president today, he made that promise that he's going to work to help that transition back home, and he made that joke about the boot camp, one of the only ones that those soldiers might actually enjoy.
Also, we've seen this in the past, Matt. We've heard from soldiers who unfortunately have the mental health care issues because they don't ask for the help. There's that sort of, I seem weak if I ask for help. He specifically targeted that issue, telling folks not only do they need to look out for their fellow comrades and make sure they get help, but you need to ask for help yourself, and it's a signal of strength. And I think actually targeting that issue speaks volumes to a lot of these soldiers.
And one of the things, you mentioned that quote where he said, we're working to make you strong, quote, Army strong. And he tied that into that, letting people know it isn't a shame, or it isn't weak to turn to your fellow soldiers and let them know what's going on. Let them know that you need that help, to reach out one another, and also to be looking for those warning signs. And that's what this executive action was really all about. Remember, they did make the comment that this wasn't a campaign situation, but this was work. And seriously, this is something that a lot of people have wanted to see the White House reach out and do, for them to come out and make those steps, make that readily available plan for these soldiers, so that when they do get home, when they do see themselves, we talked about the Bulldog Brigade coming home, that they will have the right issues and equipment. He talked about a little bit how the equipment was needed overseas, and if he ever had to send troops back overseas, that they would be fully equipped. Now he's ensuring soldiers they will be fully equipped right here in their own backyard, back here at Fort Bliss.
You know, and Matt, he also specifically
ABC 7's Matthew Smith is on the roadways as we speak, and he joins us now live with a real-time look at those conditions. Matt.
Hey, Rick. Yeah, sorry, we're not going to make a whole lot of eye contact here because this thing is just getting messy out here on the spur. This is right when you get onto Spur 601 heading east. Just got off of 54. You see here Chaffee Road, exit 21, already X'd off. This is where we were driving by a little bit before we came to you live during the 5 o'clock hour. As you can see, things are really getting messy out here, central, northeast, all of that, because we're starting to finally see that snow stick. Earlier during the 4 o'clock hours, we were bringing you these live reports with this new technology that we're able to bring you a live shot as we're actually physically driving down the road. As it started to get more cold, as the sun's gone down, this is more of the scene that you're seeing. You can see right there, they're towing these vehicles. When we drove through earlier, we could see 3 were involved. You see 2 of them right there on the expressway being towed off as we speak. And if you just look at the road ahead of us, that tells the whole story of just how nasty this is getting. Obviously, a lot of people not used to driving in these types of conditions. So we've been keeping an eye out there. One of the things that we have noticed is a lot of people still driving fast, though. We had actually pulled off near the entrance onto the spur, and people were just whizzing by us. It had to have been going 60, 70 miles an hour, and if you just look at the roads, that's not what you want to be doing at this time. So we're going to continue to take a look out here on the roads, and we'll have more at 10. Back to you guys. Okay.